been raining, so we got a bit of a slush fest out here. But I've been wanting to do a layout of where I want to plant things in the garden this coming season, and I don't know that I have an exact measurement from this end of the garden to the greenhouse to get a length for the rows. So I can't find our big Dealy Whopper measuring tool thing. All I have is this 12-foot measuring tape. I'll add those numbers up later. This thing's not going together. The roads are clear, but everything else is slushy still. And typically we get freeze and the ice skating rink and the rain and the freeze and snow and then melting and freeze and ice skating rink and let's pull this. And there's that. 47 feet. Hey! So last week's video, I did part 1 of the 2020 garden plan, and that was where I talked about what crops I'm going to keep and plant this year and what ones I'm not going to plant. I've decided not to plant. And so now what I want to do is talk about where exactly I'm going to plant everything in the garden. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because that could get pretty boring, but I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of show and tell, as I'm very proud that I got this done, and just kind of talk in general about where everything's going to go. So let's see here. If you look at the red area here, this is going to be about 1.5 feet of a sand moat that I have already in this portion of the garden, and then this newer area of the garden, I'm going to extend that around just as kind of helping maybe keep some slugs out. And as you can see, the previous garden area is kind of in this little bit of a darker green, and this newer area is kind of a brighter green. And so this end is north. This is where the two greenhouses are going to be, and this is the south end of the garden near the compost bins. And it's about 50 feet along the length, and then the width is about 40 feet. What these are this 25-foot area here is where the garden gets light in the earlier part of the spring. So I'll plant things in this 25-foot area, and then as the light comes into the rest of the garden later in the year, then I'll extend to the whole 50-foot bed length, approximately. So what we got here is leeks, and that is the plan, to plant a bunch of leeks so that hopefully we'll keep more slugs out of the garden, because supposedly they don't like leeks and onions and fennel and garlic and things like that. I've also got these areas at the corners of the garden, and also here at the corner in the center and the other 2 corners where it says mustard and bok choy. So I want to plant some things that slugs really like. And I was going to plant baby bok choy, but sometimes it doesn't always grow that great for me. So I thought that if I planted maybe both bok choy and mustard, that at least something would come up, and then that would attract the slugs to these edges rather than maybe the rest of the garden. And then I could put down some flat boards so that during the day they like to crawl under that, and then I can kind of pick them off and take them off site. So that is planned. And with the leeks, usually what I did in the past was plant 2 rows in a bed, And I'm going to go ahead and do that with kind of a longer season leek. And then inside those true rows, plant a couple of other rows of a kind of more of an early season variety of leek that I can kind of pull up to bunch for baby leeks. And then once those are all gone, then we'll just have the 2 rows of leeks there for the rest of the season. That's kind of the plan with that. And in this next bed, I have dill, parsley, cilantro, green onions. So some herbs and green onions. And I put them together because, well, I only need like little portions of each of them. I don't need a whole lot. And so they kind of go good as far as length together. So all together they come to about, I think it was all together they come to about a 7-foot bed. So I could do along that whole bed, the whole 50-foot bed, I can do 7 successions through the year. I don't know if I need that many or if that's going to work, but that is kind of the thinking as far as putting those all together there. And then plus I'll be kind of, with the dill and parsley, it'll be kind of a little bit of cut and come again, whereas the green onion I'll be pulling out and having to replant farther down. So we'll see how that goes as far as having those together. This next bed will be in carrots, and I'm just going to go ahead and plant a whole 25 feet all at once, and then do a second succession all the way for the 50 feet after that. And then this next bed is baby chard and spinach. So in my last video, I said I'm not doing spinach because both of the varieties I planted bolted on me. And so then Ryan of A Little Dirt Never Hurt, he said that, you know, I plant space variety of spinach and it does really well. So I'm going to go ahead and try that because I have been thinking about doing that variety because, you know, Curtis Stone does it and he had success with it, but I didn't end up doing it. And so, you know, I'd like to try it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that along with the baby chard. And then I'm going to plant a whole 25 feet of it and then do a second succession for a whole 50-foot bed is the plan with that. Because I can sell, when I used to have my little organic produce and grocery store, I used to be able to sell quite a bit of baby spinach, and then also it would go into a salad mix. So I think I can get away with doing that much. Lettuce and radishes, again, that's something that they kind of fit into a bed. It was about, I think, all planted out 16 feet, so then I could do a couple of successions along that whole 50-foot bed of lettuce and radishes. Obviously, the lettuce is going to be kind of like the herbs, you know, cut and come again, whereas the radishes are just going to come out, so we'll see how that works, putting those together. Then in this new section of the garden, I'll have to amend it with some compost, and then we've got, hopefully I've got enough. Yeah, I should have enough. And I'm going to do some mature chard and do 25 feet, and then a second succession for the whole 50 feet. Same thing with the scarlet kale. 2 beds of Italian kale, and I think by doing enough of all of this, I will have enough for not only myself but also this year finally to be able to sell some of that. So then this end here, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do this. So I've got sugar snap peas, plant 25 feet, and then extend it to the whole 50 feet when the light comes into the garden. Half of it's going to be in sugar ann and half in super sugar snap varieties, but this is what I don't know how I want to do. So I was thinking, okay, I plant those sugar snap peas, and then over on the south end of the garden, I'll do a second succession 50 feet of sugar snap peas, because last year I found that I know I could have sold actually more sugar snap peas than I had grown. So I want to do 2 50 feet rows for the season. But what I don't know is, like, when this row down here on the east side is finished for sugar snap peas, then I would want to plant my overwintered varieties of carrots, or wouldn't that maybe just be too late, and maybe I really should start those overwintered carrots earlier, maybe in this bed right here or something. And then also same thing with dwarf Siberian kale. Do I want to just start those early, get them super mature and hardy for the winter, or do I want to wait and plant those a little bit later in the season? So I'm not 100% sure how to do that. So then the only other thing here is like a little bit, a container somewhere, I don't want to, where I'm going to put it, of mint. And then I've got my mini cucumbers in the greenhouse here and my basil in the greenhouse here. That's all, you know, it's going to be all of that in one greenhouse. Well, what I'm trying to say is all going to be cucumbers in one greenhouse, all going to be basil in the other greenhouse. And then I've got a bunch of notes down here. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. What I did was just go through and figure out how I'm going to space everything and how much of it I'm going to try and plant and how many successions I might be able to get into a full 50-foot bed, etc. And I hate doing this kind of detail. It was really frustrating for me, but I keep thinking that if I can actually get this down, and my successions can be maybe more the same from year to year, then it won't be so much work every year to do this. So I got this all going. And then what I need to do next is actually go through my notes that I took last year. And well, it wasn't really notes. My next video, I'm going to talk about what is the best way to document what happened in the season, because I did a variety of things and some of them kind of worked and some of them didn't quite work. But I need to know, like, when did I seed things out? When did they mature for harvest? When did I seed for transplants? When did I plant the transplants out? When did I harvest? All of that information. And then I can look at this plan here and say, okay, when should I seed these things? When should I have my transplants ready to plant out? And so I need to do that next step. So I've kind of got a database going of that. And then this will also help me figure out how many seeds I need to buy. I need to go through the seeds I have and what do I need to buy for this year and stuff like that. So anyway, I will be working on that and I will talk to you next week.